we have to create the right vibe, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at PurelyArsenalFP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to the sit down at the Purely Arsenal podcast. It's 4 wins out of 4, top of the league. Neil was there. How are you, Neil?
Odegaard was amazing.
Odegaard.
So very well, thank you. Odegaard, yeah, Odegaard. No. There's only one God in Arsenal. That's Dennis Bergkamp. But very, very good. I'm fine, thank you. How you doing? You all right?
Yep, very good. One God and one Jesus as well. How are we doing, James?
No, there's 2 Jesuses at Arsenal now, and one of them's a lot better than me. No, I am very well. The sun is in my eyes, but I tell you what doesn't hurt my eyes, and that's Arsenal being at the top of the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. I like that. We've got to get you some. We're going to get someone to donate to big giant curtains for you here.
Do you know what? It's just typical me of like, I know it's on my list to do, but I just don't do it.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have 2 more weeks of it, and then it's going to be rain every day, probably.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about it. But
I'll wait for when it's international break, and then I'll get it done.
Yep. That's a wise move. But Fulham. Well, I mean, we didn't talk that much in the week, mainly because I'm scared before every game to talk about anything. About the danger of Fulham, really. I mean, Mitrovic is a proper handful. But James, before the game, Friday, everything looked great. Everyone was fit, bar Reece Nelson, and then it all changed. When you saw the lineup and you heard about the injuries, James, did you have the same, sort of palpitations that you got at Palace away last season, or were you a bit calmer?
I was a bit calmer from the point of view of what I've seen. I've seen a lot more improvement from this team since that Palace debacle of last season. I know we won't touch into. I know we like to talk about what's happening now and focus on the amazing positive instead of the negative of last year. But no, I wasn't too, upset or worried. I thought, obviously, and I think everybody knows that now, that the technical quality of the side would go down massively without those 2 players. Sorry, excuse me. And I wasn't wrong. I believe, I said it on the last podcast that as much as I love Tierney, and this shirt that I'm wearing at the moment is funny enough, got Tierney on the back of it. But the technical wise, he's nowhere near what Zinchenko gives this side. He's nowhere near. And El Neni, for as much as he gets lambasted, and I don't think it's his fault, I think he does his job, which, people expect a £7 million player to be on the technical level of Thomas Partey / Pirlo in his prime. And he can ping a pass every now and then, but he's not that guy. He's not that. We know that El Neni is a guy that operates on safety. So instead of playing that line breaker that Partey will give you, he will rather play that 5-yard pass back to his centre-back, out to his right-back, and what have you. So, no, I thought there was still enough there to get us over the line. It did. And again, I don't want to jump the gun if you've got it lined up, so rein me in if not. But, I know it's Neil's one of Neil's favourite subjects as well. But I can see already, the old peddling of the media narrative has started to, I saw the celebration police come back, and now all of a sudden, you couldn't get as easy fixtures as that. I'm sorry, Sky and, BN Sports and whoever, the likes of all of them that jumped in. You put us first against Palace because you thought you were going to get the same as what happened against Brentford. Liverpool played Fulham. Did they beat Fulham? I thought they drew with them. That's what I watched.
Finally got their first win of the season, didn't they?
And they're like, you've played 2 promoted sides. Well, so have you, Liverpool. I saw you beat 1-9-0. You can't shut up about that. Yet the other one you played that's apparently rubbish and are definitely going down held you to a draw. And theoretically, they feel unlucky. They feel unlucky that they lost the draw against us.
Yeah.
And Leicester are about the equivalent of what Palace are. I mean, that's Palace that you drew. I remember watching you draw with them as well. I don't remember you beating them.
Well, I won at Palace, to be honest, at Anfield. I mean, they had some really good chances.
Yeah, Zaha rattled the post in the second half. He should have scored that. It should have been the easiest tap-in he's going to get probably all season, but he smacked the post. It does my head in. My head in.
Well, we just got to keep doing what we're doing, haven't we? And no, I agree with you on the. I mean, in hindsight, I had no issues with El Neni. A couple of people mentioned things after the game. I never watched that game having an issue with El Neni, and in those types of games, because we were so dominant, he's absolutely fine. It's the games where, it's back and forth. We need a little bit more from him. We need him to be bolder. We need him to be more vertical with his passing, that we go, I don't know if he's offering us enough here. But in fact, that's almost a great rotational game, having him come in for a home game against a side that may well be in the sort of bottom six-ish. I think, it's not a problem. But, I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on Tierney. We'll get back to him because he's had a long time out. And, I personally have seen some issues with Tierney way back before Zinchenko. I've kind of spoken a little bit about it. But without doubt, he's a solid left back. And without doubt, I think he's a lot better than what we saw on Saturday. But and I think we will see that. And I think he'll benefit from that. I think we took him off after about 60 minutes, didn't we? Well, that was the change. That was the change that we'll get to. Neil, talk to me. What was the atmosphere like? What's the buzz like about the place? Is there a feeling that something big is going to happen this season? I'm not talking title necessarily. You are. But I'm talking, the club getting back to where it belongs, this feeling of connection with the players. It feels like from afar, I've not seen it that way for a while, but you're there and living and breathing it. So tell us about it.
Magnificent is the only word I can describe for it. Every time I go to a game, and then I might do a podcast with you guys, I say that I've not seen an atmosphere like it. Again, it up to another level. Number one, I have not seen this connection, fans and players on pitch, where we are probably. I mean, I personally thought that was our worst performance so far this season, but the fans, you wouldn't have known it being at the stadium. You would not have known it being at the stadium. My God, even when we went 1-0 down, supporters were insane. The way we got behind that team throughout the game, let alone when we went 1-0 down, was extraordinary. Whether it is just simply Arteta or I would say a lot of it is to do with Arteta, to be fair, because at the end of the day, it's ultimately down to the manager to bring in this culture, to bring in this identity, to bring in attitude from the players, this mentality of, never die. Obviously, now that you touched on the media having a go at us, they've been saying, oh, well, they haven't been tested yet, really, because they haven't come from behind. Well, we have now, and you're still having a go. So all we got to do, we got to not only win the Prem unbeaten, but win it 10 years running unbeaten for you to actually give us some credit. Pieces of pricks. Anyway, sorry to swear. I'll take that back. But let's not talk about that too much. And Richard Keys, he can do one as well. But yes, let's go back to the atmosphere.
Yeah, Richard Keys. I thought that Hasbulla had looked really grown up. He looked,
he's a giant version, a more square-headed.
Yeah, he looks like Hasbulla to me. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. Honestly, so yes, let's give Arteta firstly credit for it. Oh my God! I at times you couldn't even hear yourself think. It was that loud and that rocking. And when we, I know I'm jumping ahead of I'm not going to describe what happened, but when we actually went ahead, and when the whole stadium started singing "We Are Top of the League," I'm not kidding, guys. The stadium was bouncing. It was bouncing. It was absolutely rocking. It was phenomenal. And it was so nice to see that and feel it, because as I said, I don't think it was one of our better performances. You might expect it when we played out of this world, but when and it's just a massive turnaround, lads. It's just a massive, massive turnaround. For varying reasons, including that channel we'll never mention. There was the fan base had become so divided. It was fractious. It was just smashed to pieces. I was saying to friends on podcasts, just generally talking to family, that the one thing this club needs is unity in the fan base to give us that spark to elevate the players when they're on the pitch, whether it's good times or bad times, and we don't have it because our fan base are kicking shit out of each other. So if they're not connected, how the hell are they going to connect with the players? And now we seem to have it. I don't hear that animosity so much now. Well, certainly not when you're there at the game. Things like Twitter and things are never going to change. But end of the day, it just seems that we're all now seem to be saying the same thing, saying the right things, doing the right things, and supporting the players when they're on the pitch, which is the biggest plus you can get. So, atmosphere, Jack, was absolutely brilliant. I can't fault it.
Yeah. No, it looked amazing, and almost everyone I knew, other than James, I think, was there at this game for some reason. Everyone sort of collected around it. They knew this game was going to be, and what an epic game to be at. We didn't think it was going to be like that. Obviously, beforehand, you'd root for a comfortable win. James, I felt, I don't know. I mean, I see what you mean, Neil, because we've had some good performances. But in terms of when I look back at it and watch it, I felt we were very dominant. From start to finish, as you'd expect against Fulham at home, in fairness. I guess we can't really go any further than talking about Odegaard, though, James, because I think he really ran it from the get-go, actually. Because even when, I think in the first half when we were talking, it was basically like we were probing so many nearly, not testing Leno enough, right? 1 or 2 shots. Testing him a lot more in the second half, which was good. But Odegaard, James, that's the sort of performances we need. That's the first time we've come back from a goal deficit in the second half since 2013, I think. And under Arteta, it was a huge question mark with this group, wasn't it? I think we did it once last season against Wolves, but other than that, it was this, can we come back from a setback like that? So when it's against a run of play, can we continue to thrive? And I liked his substitutions. I liked how bold we were and how early we started to just really knock on the door. And I felt a lot more relaxed by it. But James, what are your thoughts on it?
No. You're 100%. You sum it up, and it's like I put in the group, didn't I? When Arsenal do their man of the match vote at the end of the game, and they put 4 players up, I went, you should just put Odegaard 4 times. No disrespect to anyone else that played the other night. I mean, I know we're touching on Odegaard now, so I'll leave the other players to one side for a second. But he did, yeah. He just ran the show, and that is exactly what we want to see and what we need to see. Because I don't understand these people. Ian Wright said it to Alan Sugar that you need more hugs. How can you not watch this guy play football and enjoy him? He's incredible. On his day, when he is, like we saw, you can't get better than him. You can't get better than him. And, we talked before about, especially you, Neil, and me, talked about the captain's armband and how, for a long time at Arsenal, that's, it's like a pass the parcel. And then when the person actually gets it, they don't want it anyway. We had a captain that was there and okay. He scored a lot of goals for us and helped us win a cup. But when things were really bad, he wouldn't come out and front it. We'd have kids come out and front it because, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. Why? No. This guy takes accountability. Before the game at Bournemouth, he come out in all of our, press, not the press that we, don't really want him to come out with, but he come out with our own one and said, my goals and assists, I haven't been good enough. Goes and bangs in 2 against, he scores another one this weekend. That's what you want. You want your players to be getting your numbers and you want to see a performance. And do you know what? He could have had a lot more if Nketiah, who I thought was great when he come on, But he had 2 bread and butter chances, which for him,
I'll put one of those away.
Well, this is it. That's what people are going to judge you on. You're known for being, unfortunately, that tapping type striker. That you're the classic Wenger fox in the box player. However, I think he's added more dimensions to his game. I'm seeing him more as this line runner and everything now. He's coming out of the wide position and drifting inside. I'm seeing stuff from him that I didn't even know he had in his locker, Jack. I know I've always supported him.
And if you didn't know it, I definitely didn't know it.
Well, there you are. He's adding another... And do you know what? I think people need to judge his whole game more than just the 2 chances, because he actually was really, really good when he come on, and he was a big impact for helping us get that win as well. But no, Odegaard he's sensational. He really is.
What a player, yeah, unbelievable player. And obviously the one big red flag on him is we want him to do it more often in the big games, but collectively we've got to do that as well, haven't we? We've struggled in a lot of those. So, but yeah, I agree on Eddie. I think the biggest thing with Eddie is because I obviously had no faith in him. You can listen back to the old podcast, but his physical development has really surprised me. Like I feel like he's got faster and stronger, which usually happens a little bit earlier for players. Do you know what I mean? Like, is he 22 now? 23 maybe? So, but everyone develops at different moments, right? But he obviously he's been working on that too. It's not just natural, but he's been getting in the gym and working on it. Nothing like Liverpool, but you know what I mean, working on it naturally. It was weird, Neil, wasn't it? Because Odegaard, like James said, has scored 3 in the last 3. That's more than he scored in his last 24 Premier League games, Odegaard. We've talked about it for a long time about his output has to be better. We see this fantastic player, and then we go back at the end of the season and we look at his assists and goals and we go, people looking at that, they're going to think, well, what does Martin Odegaard do? But we're sitting there thinking he's the best player we've got. And he's adding that. But he's really, even before that goal, you can see when the shot's on, he's taking it now. Right, I remember that one right from the edge of the area, just little shimmy, bomb whacked. He's got a great shot on him, brilliant shot on him for a number 10, I think. And you're starting to see a different, more selfish, clinical player in Martin Odegaard, because he's got it in him, hasn't he, Neil?
Oh, 100%. He's he wore the armband with pride, and he really carried it on the weekend. And he has got a lot to his game. I mean, he was even tracking back. He was winning the ball back, and then his first thought process is forward. His vision is exemplary. His passing is great. There's a couple of unbelievable passes right to feet. Maybe the recipient could have done better on a couple of occasions. Just magnificent, and his energy levels. So many people mentioned, look, he's not the most vocal captain that you're going to have, but he'll do his talking with his feet, and he'll inspire the other players with what he does in that respect, rather than more the vocals. But wow, what a performance! And I think he is someone. James said it quite correctly, that he will stand up when things aren't going so well. He will stand up and he will talk, but not like that other shyster that literally just shied away and didn't want to know when things were down, and all of a sudden we got that one win, and all of a sudden, oh look, he's doing the interview. Oh, that's amazing, isn't it? And that's what you don't want to see. And I know that I still think we will never replace the Adams and Vieira. I think they were just 2 unique characters, and I've got to stop doing that.
There's less of them as well now, isn't there? Really?
Yeah, exactly. And I think now I've got to evolve. Football is evolved, everything is evolved, technology is involved, the way we watch the game, the way we interact with other fans, everything. So I've decided, all right, look, stop thinking about those days. They're gone. We enjoyed it when it was there. It's gone. So he's a different type of captain, hopefully. I think he will take full responsibility. But the way he plays, the way for me, it's his vision, Jack. He can just instinctively know quickly where to move the ball forward. That's his mindset. He's just constantly thinking about creating opportunities, finding spaces, making players work into pockets and all sorts of things. And as James is just breaking the lines and just giving us opportunities galore. Now, we always knew that of him, and it was interesting because was it Gary Lineker on Match of the Day? You might have seen it, James. he just said, what were Real Madrid thinking getting rid of him? Because he's an amazing player. You know, the players that he would have potentially replaced coming of age now, in terms of, you know, their twilight of their careers. And, you know, they got rid of him, and it's Arsenal's gain at the end of the day.
They didn't want to get rid of him. They didn't want to get rid of him.
If you remember Ancelotti when he was sold, he come out and was just like, the club has told me he needs to be sold for me to do what.
Okay, I take that back.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
He really distanced himself from
it. They did not want to get rid of him. He wanted to play. He'd been loaned out 3 or 4 times. He wanted to play, and they couldn't hold him anymore.
It's our game. Whatever the scenario, it's our game.
Yeah,
because he's still very young. I said he's still got to hit his prime, and oh my God, I think what a player for the future, and just amazing. And you know what was so nice? It was nice for the captain to get us back into that game. I know. End of the day, look, I agree with you, Jack. When I said it was our worst, I'm not saying it was a bad performance, but because we played so well in the first 3 games, it looked like a level that had come down. But actually, I didn't even realise this. I was quite shocked. I looked at the stats, and actually we had 75%. Was it? And 75% possession.
Yeah, we dominated the game. Neil, to be honest, when the goal, sorry to interrupt you, but
no.
When their goal came, it truly did come out of nothing. I don't really recall them having a chance. The only other chance I recall them having was after that, with the Ben White block and the Ramsdale save, and then obviously 1 or 2 half chances after it. But really, that was it. And I mean, on that, if I just go to James quickly, do you think? I mean, obviously, it's a big error by Gabriel, and he's not. I don't want to say he's prone to it, but he's definitely prone to a couple of them a season. You know, these errors, and he's definitely not our ball playing centre back. He sometimes gets the ball stuck under his feet a little bit, and you know, you don't necessarily want that player that you're playing a crossfield ball to in your own 18-yard box to be to Gabriel. I really like Gabriel. I mean, you know, we'll get to his goal in a second, but it was a big error on his part, James, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've always said for a very, very long time, especially on this podcast, about the other teams haven't really beat us. Arsenal beat ourselves, and that was just an example. I mean, whenever we have an error for a goal, it normally is that it comes in 2 or 3s, because there's a chance there to bail it out. Yet they all just crumble as a collective. For me, first and foremost, what is Bukayo? You should not be playing that. You know, 2 things I always learned first when I first started football. Play to the whistle, James. Don't pass it across your own box. Unless it's changed since when I was playing in the early 90s, early 2000s. You're on mute, mate.
They do it a bit more often now, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. So I'm like, first and foremost, he plays him into danger. But like you said, he's got time there. He's got time to rectify that and get that ball, you know, progressed up the field. And yeah, he has a wobbler. And Mitrovic, who, you know, Fulham, when they last come up, did not play him to his strengths whatsoever. He was dreadful. And they were dreadful as a team. But now they've realised they know what they're doing. And he's a lethal, he's a clinical striker. And he got the goal. And yeah, heads could have gone down there, but like Neil said, everybody got a lift, and we went on from there. But no, it was a dreadful goal to concede, absolutely dreadful. But you summed it up just a minute ago. Most of their big chances come after they scored, and we equalised, and then scored our, you know, the one that you're saying where Ramsdale made the save and White made the block. That was after, and they had the other one, didn't they? Right at the end, the diving header from the. I can't remember what lad it was that did the diving, but Ramsdale made the really good save again. So yeah. I mean, you mentioned that Ben White block. Can I just jump in here? I think that's the best game I've seen him play in an Arsenal shirt.
Very good.
I thought Ben White was incredible.
He knows his opportunities at right back, doesn't he? And I like that. I like that because what he's done.
We're used to people like Niles and everyone moaning about it.
Look at that. Look at the character there, James. Look at that.
I'll just crack on.
Yeah, he's gone, okay. He's obviously looking at Saliba going, okay, yeah, he's the real deal. And he's saying, I've got opportunity here, rather than thinking I've been shifted out of my position.
But that's a big credit. You're talking about Saliba as well. Big credit to him because, you know, he's not here, but Michael, you know, he called it last season. Whenever there's a big physical striker, Gabriel does not like it. And Mitrovic tried it a bit with Saliba in the first half. realised I'm getting no joy out of him, I'll move to his. So that's the biggest compliment you could give Saliba for this game, is that Mitrovic did not want it with
went away from him.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want it with him.
I noticed that.
I've tried it with him and it's not working, so I'm going to move across.
Yeah.
So yeah, good performance again from. From
Saliba. No, I agree with you on White as well. I've been really impressed with his attitude towards the position. I mean, Arteta's talked about his attitude quite a lot before anyway. He knows he sees something in that player, and he's happy to play in multiple areas. It's probably one of the reasons he bought him, but I don't know if he expected it to be quite like it was. But Tomiyasu's got his work cut out. I mean, he's got to stay fit, hasn't he? I mean, him, Smith Rowe, these players, Tierney, they've got to get fit. And the only way for them to maybe do it might be, the upcoming cup games, but we'll talk whether we think something might change in midweek. But went 1-0 down, and obviously, all the things are going around in your head, aren't they? Oh wow, it's a big test. It's a big test. Has this group grown from the effects of last season? Because when we went 1-0 down, the heart went out of you a little bit, certainly in the fan base, and it definitely didn't sound like that happened. But we were so positive, Neil. Well, in fact, what we was we just continued on. I felt we were really pushing at that point to try to score. It was an error, but we just continued on. I don't know how long after it was that we score, but it wasn't that long, was it? More than 10 minutes or something. But again, it's actually a really fantastic move. And if you don't, Frank Lampard made a career out of shooting on sight. And deflections. I've never heard so much about deflection in my life after this Odegaard one. Frank Lampard literally made a career out of scoring deflected goals. But I think Odegaard's fantastic for it again with a little step over, Neil. Huge goal. We've got to shoot more. I felt in the first half we've got to shoot more. Do you know what I mean? But and you can't forget the role Saka played as well, because he takes up positions that people just don't give him credit for. He gets in that inside right channel on the run. Does it so much, Neil? He's getting, and I can understand why he's been. People are saying that we're a bit worried about him, and I've said it. Look, I've said it not because I'm worried about him. I just think he needs a rest. I'm going to keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. Boy needs a rest, and that's where the concerns are with his replacement. But we were talking off slightly, Jack and I, before you came on, James, and just a little bit concerned that are we going to get this player? And then we can understand what Jack was saying. It's hard because he's going to be a non-starter or guaranteed non-starter if we do. But the guy needs a rest, and now Pepe's gone on loan, so it's even more of a need to get a player in. Look, I understand. I think you guys told me that Vieira, when he starts playing, he can play on both sides. He's a bit of a utility player. I get that. And whatnot, and we've got options. Martinelli, in some respects, I still prefer him on the left. But I think you also mentioned that we need someone more senior. Again, I totally agree with that. I think we do. But having said all of that, quiet games maybe, but he's still involved key moments, quite rightly. He's still doing the very best he can, and I can't fault that. You can't, for someone so young, that's what still baffles me about him. You think that he's been there for years now, and it feels like that, certainly because he carried the team for such a length of time. But you cannot underestimate that at any moment in time, there are moments that you can pick out. Even if he's having a quiet game by his standards, he still will be there at key times and provide a key pass or an interception or just be involved to create something, very much like the goal, Jack. But I've got no concerns with him. We need to think of a way of giving the boys some rest and just let him recharge a little bit and refresh. Because if he doesn't get that rest, then he goes to the World Cup. It's only a matter of time if something more serious could potentially happen to him. And he's such a wonderful player and such wonderful attitude. The way he combated all that crap he got after the Euros, the European Cup, and he's still come out of that. Amazing. Let's protect him just a little bit. That's all I'm saying. And Odegaard, the step over, just beautiful. And I was sorry. I used to say years ago, I said, we've got to shoot more on target. We've got to shoot because you never know. All right, sometimes, maybe 8 times out of 10,
the ball will fly to Mars or something. It will go well over the net. But you just never know. You might get that one time. I know that we've been accused for so many years, and it was a great philosophy to have. And it's great to watch when it comes off, trying to walk the ball into the net a lot more. But, you never know. Sometimes if you have a shot, you could get lucky. And I'm sorry, end of the day, I still think that's Odegaard's goal all day long. And yeah, you did get the deflection, but it doesn't matter. What that showed to me more than the goal itself was our attitude. Odegaard, taking responsibility as captain. And you know what? That was a telltale sign for me of how this season is going to pan out. It was the attitude of not heads dropping after going 1-0 down. And it could have been more significant because the players were used to, come with a great run of 3 games, not just a great run because we've got 9 points. You could play rubbish in 3 games and get 9 points. You can. It can happen if you get lucky. But we played well. We were playing very well. We've seen things from Arsenal we haven't seen for a long time. So you can imagine. So they're on a level. They're quite elevated. They're on a high. And all of a sudden they're playing Fulham at home and we're 1-0 down. Oh, my God. And easily the heads could have dropped. But no, Jack, you're right. We just carried on. We just carried on in the same way. Just the same attitude, the same application. And we were rewarded for it. And that is a massive telltale for me going forward for the rest of the season. I think things have improved tenfold, lads. I really believe it.
What I liked about it as well is we didn't get frustrated. When we go 1-0 down last season, there'd be a lot of sort of ill discipline, silly stuff, talking back to the ref and stuff like that. We just continue to play, which shows to me that we're starting to believe a lot more in the way we play, and we're starting to trust a lot more. And of course, we know we're going to go 1-0 down at times. It's going to happen. It happens to every team. City went 2-0 down at the weekend, but we have to be able to bounce back. And if we continue to play like that, there's no reason why we can't, because we're creating so much. The volume's there, creativity's there. It's no longer, I'm worried about mustering up a chance or whatever. But which really, Eddie, did he come on before the equaliser, Eddie? He did come on, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, really good cameo appearance again. James, he's your boy. But it provides us a lot of energy, a lot of running through the channels. I think it's the all black boots, to be honest. But I was an all black boot guy myself. But I'm putting it down to that. But he's really surprised me, Eddie. I think he's from the bench, when you need something in an attacking sense, he's my first player I'd go to at the moment. And you've got Smith Rowe on the bench. You've got Fabio Vieira on the bench. Don't know a lot about him, so I'm not going to say too much about it. But do you know what I mean? And that's credit to him, James, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and you know what? I think he plays really well with Jesus. I mentioned it last week as well. I think them two together, they really seem to have something going on and they like it. And, when he come on straight away, he went to all of them. Yeah, 3-5-2, boys. We go 3, he done it with his fingers and said we're moving 3-5-2. And you know what? It paid off. It did pay off, and I'm very, very happy. But, touching on the goal again, what I like as well is the celebration from Odegaard, because he turns to all the fans and his hands are like, now, lift. And Neil, you mentioned that he's not the most vocal. I do agree, but because I think he's just that kind of guy. I wouldn't say he's shy by any means, but he's just a very... it sounds patronising, but it's not. But he just comes across a very sweet young man. I know I'm only 31, so it's very hard for me to say that someone's a very sweet young man. But he just seems like a really nice lad. Like you're a good. I mentioned it before. Even when he was on loan, they were making him do all the media things, and you got signs where it's like you look like you're being lined up to be a captain, even before you've even signed permanently. He did that whole thing with the kids, didn't he, where he was like teaching them the passing and the finishing drill, and then they done a Q&A with him, and they just, they were all up there about 5 or 6, and they just asked him a bunch of silly things, and he laughed, and he just carried on. But I really like that. I like that a lot from him. And there were times there where it got a bit bitty with Fulham. Some of the challenges were flying in, and the refs had to and Odegaard was one of the first ones that was grabbing the players under to get away from there, which I really like as well, because there have been times where we've got sucked in before in the past with stuff like that and given away. We've got the refs love to book us, don't like to book anyone else, but they love booking us. I mean, that ref nearly lost control of it in the first half. He was absolutely And I don't like going for refs. I'm of that school where, no, you've got to be good enough in yourself and make the ref because we know they're crap. So don't rely on them to give you anything. Do it with your quality, which, again, like you said, Jack, we're at a stage where we're just like the quality will shine through. And just like you said, keep playing. Don't put your heads down. I don't know if you missed it, Neil, because obviously you were there and you were coming back. And Jack, I know you get a different out there. You get different feed from us. But Sky, at the end, when they were presenting the Man of the Match awards, Gabriel had to give it to Odegaard, and they had a bit of a joke and a laugh. But Gabriel said, when Saliba had the own goal the other day and the whole stadium lifted, he said, I felt that with when I made it, because he's like, I didn't know his English was that good, but he said, yeah, I made a mistake, but he went, nobody, and he called the defence, the back, the rest of the back five, his brothers. And he said, I turned to my brothers and my brothers went to me, mate, okay, it is what it is, but park it and let's go. And a lot has been said about him falling to his knees at the end. It's relief. It is only, look at them over celebrating. No, it's relief. We've all been there. There has been a time in everybody's life where you've done something and you're like, oh my God, and then in the end, when it doesn't, F up as bad as you thought it was going to F up, you do, don't you? You walk, maybe not fall to your knees type thing, but you do. You go, oh my God, thank you so much. Wow, okay, I got out of it there, like on the old Monopoly, I've got me get out of jail free there, and I'll crack on. So, yeah, I just, again, like I said, there's too much hyperbole going on for other teams, yet Arsenal, for whatever reason, don't seem to get it, because they were lining all their ducks up in a row for if we had lost that. You can see what the narrative would have been.
James, can I just add? I think what you say about Odegaard, I think you're right. You're spot on. It's also what he's doing outside of the pitch as well as what he's doing as captain on. I think he's just representing the club really well. And when I mean about his vocal, I mean, and I said it earlier, I think I've just got to change. I'm so used to the Sergeant Major. I like it. I'll still like it. I'm not going to shy away from that. I started watching. I was born and bred with Tony Adams and maybe before that. But they are just more vocal, but it doesn't necessarily mean I have accepted now or coming to accept it. That isn't the only way. That isn't the only way, and I think Odegaard is doing it in his own special.
You're not wrong, Neil, because every single time on Twitter, and you see it at least once a week. Oh, what player from the 90s would you put in this Arsenal team if you could? What player from the Invincibles would you chuck in this Arsenal? And I always thought Dennis Bergkamp and Henry would run these things. But every time it's Vieira at one, Tony Adams and everybody puts it. You're not the only one. Everybody puts in the comments, just to have that general in there, just that would help. And they're not wrong. They're not wrong. I would love a regeneration Patrick Vieira in there, especially when Partey's not going to be there. Oh God!
Absolutely. God.
I'd love.
Imagine Vieira now in this team. Oh boy.
Yeah. He'd be flying. He'd be absolutely flying. Imagine Saliba playing next to Tony Adams. Oh, come on.
Go right. Stop.
Yeah, exactly.
It's too early.
We've conceded 3 goals all season, and 2 of them have been massive defensive errors where it's come out of nothing. One of them we got, taken down the left side a little bit, and defensive error and goalkeeping error a little bit, and it was a collective thing. But the 2 errors are, and I'm touching wood, but I think those are 2 errors from centre backs that aren't liable to make many. To be honest, right. They don't strike me as though Gabriel definitely has the odd one in him. We've seen it before, but he's also really deadly. That's his 8th goal as a Premier League centre back. I think that's the most any centre back has scored in that time since he scored the first. He's really well. I mean, we're dangerous from set pieces, but he's really dangerous. And for us, I mean, it's a huge redemption arc. We've had centre backs that have been low on confidence and poor, made individual errors, game in, game out. So when you can see it, when you see him redeem himself in the same game, that's the perfect ending to it. And Neil, we've always said about Leno, because I think all 3 of us on here have had a little bit of concerns. I think I texted James this the other day that he had 2 main errors at Leno that were constant. One, he couldn't play with the ball at his feet. He's like David De Gea. And the other one was, for a 6'4" bloke, he looks very small in a crowded box. And you saw that against Brentford last season, didn't you? Away, first game of the season. Old Biscuit Hands they start flopping over and he becomes T-Rex, doesn't he? That's what he does. And that's what he does, doesn't he? And honestly, and I don't know if Saliba knew it, but I went, why? Obviously, Saliba's going mad. It was the last minute. We scored a goal. But he's going mad. He made a huge difference there, Saliba, because he just stood on his toes and said, I'm just going to jump with you. He didn't touch him. I'm just going to jump with you. And I don't know if he knew about our reports on Biscuit Hands, but if he did, I'd say William Saliba's played an absolute blinder, hasn't he? Because I didn't see it the first time. I had to watch it like 3 times. I went, what was it? Why were they moaning? Why? And it was just old Big Willie Saliba just standing right in front of him and saying, I'm going to jump with you. And he knew he'd go flapping like a box of shortbread, wouldn't he? So brilliant.
It would be nice to know if I said I'd been watching the podcast stage and listening to you guys, and he said, "Right, Saliba, get on it, get on Leno, because that's where he's fallible."
I have to believe he did.
And well, why not? Why shouldn't you? I don't want to have a go at Leno. I thought he's a consummate professional. I don't want to start ripping holes into him. And a lovely guy, absolutely lovely guy, and. He's not with us anymore, so that's it. Let's park it. But Saliba got into that. He made a menace for. It was massively slow. But of course, and I didn't realise this, that when we were there, the celebrations were going for a long time, and all of a sudden you get checking the goal, and everyone was like, "What?"
Oh, you
and
guys were
then we found out
texting me
later,
that.
it was, and it's like a possible handball. I mean, God, Jesus. Thankfully. It was all right, and we got the goal. But God, it really, really scared everyone in the stadium. Everyone just was stunned into silence for that little moment, thinking, "Hang on a minute, what could have possibly gone wrong there?" But I'm so pleased for Gabriel. I mean, he's probably felt bad about his mistake. It was a mistake. That's another thing. If it had remained that way and it remained a 1-0 and it was because of that error, Fulham wouldn't have beaten us for my book, because it was. But what I said, for me, the biggest fear at the moment from the way we're playing, the only team that can beat us is us. It's our silly mistakes, our complacency, and all of that. Thankfully, complacency wasn't there because the attitude was good. But this time it was an error. It wasn't the other team beating us. It was an error on our part. So we just got to iron those things out. Ramsdale made one or could have made a couple earlier in this season, which could have been. Could have led to worse outcomes. Thankfully, none of them have so far. That's why we're top of the league, of course. But if we can iron all of that out, we are going to be some team to beat. We're going to be hard, and it will have to come down to the only way we lose is the other team have to beat us, not we are letting them win by making unforced errors, as they say in tennis. The other team will have to beat us. And I was so thrilled for Gabriel. I can't tell you, because the way the crowd got behind Saliba that time for the own goal and just loved him for it. Regardless, it was almost like him getting not just the crowd support behind him, but him almost redeeming himself by getting the winner was amazing. And Zinchenko's celebration.
Set him back another week, didn't it?
What the club means to that lad. And what he gives us on that side of the pitch, oh mate,
Proper player, isn't he?
He's just a player. Do you know what? I know. Again, we were talking off air. Just imagine if we can get those 1 or 2 players in, Jack. We're going to be formidable. I think we already are formidable, but I just think that
we need more.
Just add.
We need more.
Correct.
Yeah, we thought this in January. So
can I just say on the second goal as well? We're talking a lot here about keep on going. Martinelli had the corner in the first half that hit the bar. Again, Leno was sort of tracking back and everything else. Yeah, he was. And his corners weren't at it for other than the one that hit the. But and you could have easily have took him off the corners and gone, no, try something, but stuck by him. And he paid off in the end. He paid off in the end. And other than the corners, I thought he had another good game as well, Martinelli.
Full of energy. Him and Jesus. Full of energy.
He's just a nuisance player. He is. He's just an incredible nuisance player. People talk about, you don't what players would you not want to, wingers would you not like to face? I think he's going to start making that category. I really do.
Oh, he's up there. He's up there for sure. I mean, obviously, him and Jesus, I didn't feel like they were necessarily pummeling down the goal and getting sort of clear-cut chances, but their work rate and their endeavour and their ability to be able to press and keep us high.
But the wait after the goal, like Neil said, it was absolutely insane. I mean, when it flashed up handball, even me at home was like, "What? I can see where you potentially think there's a push." But I'm like, there's no handball in it. No one's, slapped it or touched it with their. I'm like, you're a mentalist. You're a mentalist, and they've got more angles to watch it than me.
Yeah,
they've got whatever angles they want.
Yeah.
I'm like, where have you made a handball? Where have you got a handball out of it? You know what I mean? Like, the usual. Where have you plucked that from? That's literally how I felt. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I know. It's worrying. It was.
Can I make something? Sorry, I keep interrupting you. I'm so glad you two picked up Ben White. I thought he was really, really good, and obviously, he was, he saved us at the end with that, getting his full body in the way. But equally so, you guys, Jack, you were saying that you were a little bit concerned with Ramsdale if he's having a bit of a quiet game. Well, he's put that to bed in this game.
He was very good.
He was he didn't have much to do, but when called upon, especially that second save, oh my God. Yeah. And I was so chuffed for him, chuffed a bit. So there you go. If they can iron out those little errors and, keep focus. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I just wanted to mention not just Ben White, but also Ramsdale.
Yeah, I thought Ramsdale
brilliant kick to Mitrovic in the head as well, weren't it? Super.
Yes.
Leo and Edwards would have been proud of that one. It was a lovely kick to the head.
Yeah. So that was probably his only error, wasn't it? But no, it was. I mean, obviously fantastic to get a win. I don't know how late Gabriel's goal was because I was driving. Was it in the 90th or was it just before it? It was just before it. Just before it, I think 88th or something, 86th. But
86. You're right.
86. Yeah. But yeah, I was driving. I know if I'm getting a lot of texts, either we've scored, the other team has. I was seeing it, and then I had to go back and watch it. But unbelievable win. Obviously, we have the concerns about the injuries. Doesn't look like Partey or Zinchenko are going to be back this week. Certainly not with the type of injuries they've got.
No, they're good. They're good. The doctor
Driscoll, said it was
he come out and he said precautionary. So I'm going to take him at his word.
The problem I've got with that is
because he was on camera. I'm like, you're going to make yourself look an absolute numpty, mate, if you're not right.
His Partey's thigh, unless it's a dead leg, if it's a strain, I mean, for Wednesday I'll be stunned. But if it's a dead leg, then maybe. But again, a sprain in a knee, even the most minor of sprains, this week sounds like it's going to be a push. But and we could do with it, couldn't we? We've got 2 games in a week and probably, 2 pretty tricky games on paper, I would say. So it's it's a bit frustrating. But again, it shows us, James, how, just with a couple of injuries, how thin we could look in certain areas, central midfield being one of them. And we're seeing a lot of stuff come out. Currently, it's Monday morning. We're seeing, it would be very, very difficult to do the Pedro Neto deal. I obviously, I'm getting pessimistically a lot of end of January vibes currently, but there's still 3 days left in the window. But I don't think it's as forgivable as January because we knew in January that Aubameyang had a huge problem anyway, that we had to solve. So getting him out the door was basically the only solution to it. But Pepe hasn't really had a problem with anybody, right? All right, he's not in Arteta's plans, but he's not really had a problem with anyone. We didn't get a good fee for him. We're still paying 25% of his wages. There was literally no need to get rid of Pepe unless you're getting someone else in. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't change the group dynamics. I've not seen him kick up a fuss. He's not even posted a slightly in jest social media post. There's been nothing from him unless I've missed it. So James, from my perspective, there is no excuse not to get 1 in minimum. But we don't make the decisions. I'm just probably making that up. But what's your thoughts, mate? With 3 days left, where do we go from here? There's nothing close. That's what we know. But
yeah, I'm still backing it, mate. I'm still going to believe that we're going to get the 2 players over the line. Maybe that's me being deluded, and maybe that's me spending all the love tokens for how well that we've done at the start. But yeah, I think we're going to do it. I don't know. Don't know who these 2 players are going to be.
No, you got to give me names.
I'd love to. I'd love to give you the names. I'm not trying to be like these journos, mate. That we might sign someone, we might not sign somebody.
Someone might come in the door. We don't know.
Yeah. It's light during the day, and at night it's dark. Yeah,
shocking, isn't it?
I'm not going to give that kind of analysis. But I'm backing it. I think that we're going to get the 2 players over the line, and we're going to sort out what we need to sort out, because you do not have, I wouldn't say it's a fire sale per se, but you do not clear most of these high earners. You still got Bellerin that's potentially going to have his contract ripped or whatever. He's got quite a big chunk of wages gone and everything else. We're in more competitions than we were last season, and a lot of people have come at Arteta for saying that they think he's a bit stupid. I don't think he's stupid enough to realise that this squad, it's what done him last season. They got tired and they just couldn't get it over the line. He knows it. And maybe because of the start that we've had this year, he's thinking, I might not have to worry about my 2 points because that he missed out on last year, because I've got these good. And he's looking at how the other clubs are and thinking, but no, don't take anything for granted. Back your manager and get these 2, because that's all we, I don't think we're asking for much, Jack. I think with the money that we've potentially got there and some of the bids that we made even earlier in the window, there's money there. And all this FFP crap, nah, come on. It's like you're looking at Chelsea, right? I hate comparing to other clubs, but Chelsea's ownership is being funded by a dividend, which eventually is going to have to be paid back. They're going to have a return on investment to pay that back. So they're going mad now because they want the short term of just keep us in the top 4, then I can pay all the people. If they don't make the top 4 this year, Chelsea, they're in a lot of trouble, because even though that, the bloke is throwing the cash around, those investors are going to go, it's not good enough. So we got to keep an eye on it, because we need to get back to where we need to be, Jack. Really, that's the truth of it all. And people say, oh yeah, but I'd rather win the Europa and still finish 6th, 7th or 8th and then get in. Or no, I want both. I said to Neil, be greedy. I'm the same. This lot need to get used to finishing within the top 4 and continually finishing in the top 4. They can't just do it 1 year and then let's regress back to 8th or 6th or 7th. No, you need to consistently get top 4 should be the bare minimum requirement. I want us to win the league every year. Might not happen, but that's what we need to be doing. If we're not first, we need to at least be second, in my opinion. And not second by 20, 30 points like some of the others have been in over the year. I want to lose it on a couple of points.
Yeah.
Or even goal difference. I don't want to lose it on.
I definitely don't expect that this season, but expect I think we're fair to expect.
Neil's told me it's happening, and he don't lie to me. So
if we keep winning, then we've got to believe it. So one game at a time. But
Neil, don't tell me lies.
Yeah, James thinks 2 players coming in still. I mean, that would be a statement. Because even though we think we need it, I optimistically felt it probably a couple of weeks ago. I don't necessarily now. Not getting one in would be a travesty though, because it leaves us really short and vulnerable. I mean, let's not forget we didn't address the first team centre mid last season. We got Lokonga in, but he was never coming in to directly start or compete to start, really. We knew he was a player that was going to build. Him and Nuno were those types of players. They were clearly backups at that point. And I don't think much has changed, to be honest. In fact, as good as Lokonga could well be, he might even be further away from the first team than he was a year ago. So that's why I'd watch that one closely. I know he's not really linked anywhere, but I'd be watching that one closely if we do the two, because he's not getting in now, James. So he's not getting in now. We get one more in. I know we got more competitions to come, but I'm struggling to see it. So, Neil, what do you reckon? Are we going to get someone in?
I hope so. I actually will be. I mean, as positive as I am and have been, especially at the start that we've had, I will be concerned, 100%. The more I think about it now that I'm getting even worse, I was talking, I'm thinking, even if it's one now, Jack, which one do you go for? The centre mid or the right wing?
It's difficult now. It's difficult.
Both with, it doesn't make sense to get rid of Pepe if there's no one coming in. I never even looked at it like that. And
the club's definitely prioritising the wing. I mean, I think centre mid probably should be right up there.
But then equally look at it at the middle. I mean, we lose Partey or Xhaka for any length of time, even if it's 3 matches. Those 3 matches can be so key. It's so fragile, isn't it? It's so fragile, especially the way the league has started this season. I think it might be another bit of a strange one. I'm not saying Leicester levels where they won the Premiership. It might be a bit of a strange one. And that's crucial then if there's going to be, even 2 points could make a massive difference. So we can't even afford to lose the likes of Xhaka or Partey. When was the last time anyone would have thought, get this worried about losing Xhaka? But he's been brilliant. He's getting in the box and he's doing his thing and he's changing as a player, and come on, all for it. But, it is a concern, and I'm not going to say names. I ain't got a bloody clue. Talk to me about transfers. God, it's like, I'd have more chance of
don't worry,
winning
we got you, Neil. We got you.
Well, I'd have more chance of even completing a marathon, let alone winning one. But, all I know is we need those 2 positions filled. I was thinking 3 when back in the day, because I was thinking I still think we might need another target man up front. But you know what? I have to give it to him. James Eddie has really impressed me when he's come on, and I like the fact that his attitude. He was wanting to be out of the clubs. He wanted to get more time, but something has changed in him. He's coming on when he gets his chance and playing brilliantly and doing different things, as Jack was saying, that he'd never expected him to do. So I'm not concerned with the front line now. I'm more concerned about these 2 positions. I'm worried. I've got to admit, Jack, it's bothering me. And I don't know even now, as what James said earlier, even if we were to get the 1, which is great, don't get me wrong, but I think we need 2. So I don't know. And can I just ask both of you, if we had a choice of one or the other, which one would you go for?
I'm edging towards the winger, but here's my theory. We are actually only playing until November 12th. So we've got about 2 months to play football, and then the January window will come around. So there is the option and the possibility to do the other one in January, and I know you can't rely on that market, but I don't think we plan to not do anything like last January again. I don't think we would.
This January, Jack, will be a lot different
because post World Cup.
Well, that is the world's biggest shop window for footballers, regardless of when it is. Yeah. That's all it. That's as much as people are like, look how well he's doing. He's carrying his country on his back. He's thinking of himself as well. Whatever player that is, they're thinking of themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So there could be movement there. I don't really have I mean, Neto is obviously the one that's the only credible link that we've really got for a winger at this point. But there's other names there, Diaby from Leverkusen, but that's even going to be more expensive. It's a fee issue from the sounds of it. So if it's a fee issue, I'd watch players like, Asensio from Real Madrid, who's definitely leaving from the sounds of it. I wouldn't want to go that route. And the concern that we have, I think now, Neil, is they're really concerned about one wage structure, because we've dropped the wage so not so low, but certainly low, that we don't want to really affect that, which hints at us bringing in younger players, because obviously they're not on such big wages. And the other thing is, in both positions, they're not guaranteed to be starting, So then, we have to incentivise that and I hope no one else is coming in from and offering them a starting position and all that sort of stuff. So I see the difficulty, but you can't go from the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks and I think we've removed like 8 to 10 players for little to no money. And some of which could have done a job, Pepe, he could be that backup player, I think we can do better, but he could be that better. So, it just doesn't make any sense for us to do that. Centre mid, we've got the numbers there, so I do feel it would have to be one in, one out almost. But winger, there's literally space, right? There's literally space for him. I know we've got Marquinhos, but, there was I don't think there's much belief that Marquinhos is going to be much more than a cup player, Europa League player to start with, at least Europa League group stage player. Do you know what I mean? Not someone that's actually going to be rotating into the Premier League, at least not to begin with. So I think one. I think we'll get one of the two, because I just can't see us doing both now because of how late it is, but also because it just seems like it would be probably an 80 million outlay, and for Chelsea and Man U that seems fine, but I don't know if I see us doing that big that late. But we have been known to do one, late in the window. Partey was the last day. Tomiyasu was the last day. So in summer windows, Arteta and Mikel and Edu very relaxed, very very relaxed. Which optimistically tells me that they've got something up their sleeve. So I'm gonna say they've got some. I'll tell you what, if they do, maybe we'll try and get on here for 30 minutes and chat about it. Otherwise, we're not doing anything after the Villa game, unless obviously if we win, we'll try and do something. But let's do our predictions for Villa, and should we do predictions for Man U as well, just in case we can't get on post Wednesday? Neil, what you got? Villa home. I think it's a 7:30 kickoff, and Man U.
Oh, right.
I think it's a 7:30 kickoff, and Man U away. But I haven't even looked at the time of that one. But 2 tough games, Neil. What's your predictions and first scores?
Yeah, I'll be sensible. I've got egg on my face saying 5-0 or 6-0. It's just me being optimistic.
4.
But, oh God. They are tough games. To be honest, any team, any game in the Premier is tough. I'm sorry to say, it is. Any game is tough. It's that level of the way the league is. But let's go Villa. I do want Jesus to score. I'm not concerned that he's not scoring, but for himself, I want him to score. I don't care what the media say. The media can go to hell. End of the day, we're 12 points out of 12. Shut up. Shut your mouth. Right?
11 goals.
So it doesn't matter who's scoring. But for him, those 2 games, I want him to get back into the scoring mindset. So because we need him to be that consistent scorer. So I want Jesus to score. So I'll say Jesus to score. I'm actually going to go 2-0 for Villa. I'm going to be a lot more conservative. So 2-0 Villa and Jesus. Man United, wow. They've decided to wake up, haven't they? Bastards. Excuse my French again.
Spending about 220 million helps. But yeah.
Oh boy, God, do I do this? And it will be very un-Neil-like. Do you know what? I'm going to go 1-1 Man U. I'm going to go 1-1 Man U, and I'll say Martinelli, actually. So Villa 2-0, Jesus 1-1, Man United, Martinelli.
Okay. James, what about you?
Yeah, I think Villa look muck to me, absolute muck at the moment. So I think we need to capitalise on that. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 win, and I'm going to pick Jesus as well for that one. And then Man United, it's really difficult because I need to see how they play midweek against Leicester.
Are they away at Leicester?
They are away at Leicester.
Okay.
And that has been a bit of a bogey side for them in the last few years. But they, again, like as much as I've just said Villa look muck, Leicester look absolute muck as well.
Bottom of the league, aren't they, Leicester?
Well, yeah, and I think if he doesn't get a result there, I think he's out the door. I think that Brendan's not going to last. So Man United is, it's really hard, really hard. I mean, my head said draw as well. My heart's saying we're going to absolutely smash them to bits, but yeah, my head's saying a draw. So do you know what? Neil's done 1-1, so I'm going to go 2-2. And
both taking my results.
Yeah, I'll say they're not good at set pieces, are they? So I'll say Saliba or Gabriel from a set piece.
Saliba or Gabriel, yeah.
But hopefully we might be able to get something in before Man United, and then my prediction potentially might
I'll tell you
change. They were dreadful against Southampton, Jack, but Southampton just had nothing. It was very reminiscent of the Forest game against them lot down the road.
Yeah,
they were dreadful, but the other team, they didn't create what they class as those high value chances. They let them have a lot of the ball, and they let them have certain chances. But I think if they come up against a side like us, that's a bit, we start well and we're thriving, we could easily do what Brentford did to United, easily, even with these new players that they've got in. So
yeah, I mean, they're obviously going to have Casemiro starting. They'll probably have that Anthony in the squad. It'll be a much different team.
Yeah, and I can see us, if we wanted to, giving them an absolute thrashing. But we'll just see. It's like I've always said, just play the 11 that are on the pitch, and not that bloody badge and that stadium.
Again, last season,
play those 11 players.
Was a problem, wasn't it? It was a problem, and we've got but Jesus, we really want Jesus and Zinchenko in the team for that one. I'll keep my fingers crossed. They know what it's like. It's been a derby for them, hasn't it? So, but yeah, can't go beyond Villa. I still think it's going to be a tough game. They've come to Arsenal and given us some tricky games over the years. So, I'll go 2-1 Arsenal for Villa. I'll go Jesus as well, and I'll go 0-0. I guess 0-0 at United. A no scoring game. That doesn't sound likely, does it? But I don't know. I'll go 0-0 there. But I was going to say one more thing on the transfers. I'll go one in. I'll still keep my eye on Neto. I'll keep my eye on Neto. Wolves will take something if you offer them the right price. That's my belief on Neto. The question is, can we offer them the right price? But I think we can.
I think as well, Jack, is and it sounds nasty, and I hate it. I hate myself for saying it, but I think if the player forces the move, then because they've already, Cody going was a big influence in there. Bolly apparently didn't want to turn up because he's had enough.
Centre back,
yeah. So I think Neto, if he starts going like, come on, this is for my own development, it's Arsenal. Yeah, I think the problem is Wolves. He's so important to them, and like we've said, there's 3 days. They're like, where are we going to find a player that can produce your type of level with 3 days left in the window? But
in their last game? Did they start both of their new players? That was Nunes and Guedes or something like that.
Yeah, both of them played.
They both started and Neto played, did they?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just wondering. I don't know a lot about those two players. I'm wondering if one of them fills his position.
Yeah.
But that tells me maybe not.
No, and Neto played really well. But he did get hooked because he got a book in, and he looked like he was getting a bit wound up out there. So I think they just just
I saw that part.
Yeah,
I saw that. Well, just offer him Reece Nelson. And say he's lovely. He's a really good player, and it could be good. And bring us Neto. But I'm going to say one Neto. I'd watch Neto. I don't think we can do two. But I think if we don't do one, I'll be really frustrated because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me what we're doing otherwise in terms of skimming the squad. I'm just not getting it. But boys, it's been great. At Purely Arsenal FP on Twitter, Purely Arsenal on YouTube. Please subscribe to us there because we post it and you can see our lovely faces. We try and do one a week minimum. This week is a unique week. We will try our best if something happens big like we're claiming in the transfer window and 5 wins of 5 happens. I don't know if you're going to be able to keep us off, are you? So we're going to have to find our way back on.
Well, we only recorded we've been anyway according to loads of people, so to keep us off.
Exactly. That's it. This is what we do. But boys, it's been great. Thank you to everyone that's listening. Post on Twitter. We try to get back to as many of you as we can. Mike, hopefully getting back on at some point as well. And let's make it 5 wins out of 5. Well, let's make it 6 wins out of 6 if we get to that point. But let's go 5 wins out of 5 first. Not get ahead of ourselves. Come on, the Arsenal. Come on.